Today we'll be showing you guys what order and why you should be using a glaze, sealant, and wax on your car. Anyways guys, let's get right into this video. Before we get into glaze, sealant, and wax, whatever order it might go in, we need to do one crucial step, which is wash it. We already washed it using clean slate. Next up, we do have a secondary step that I highly recommend for you guys, and that step is clay barring the surface of the vehicle with an OG clay bar and clay luber. Now the reason why you want to clay bar the surface of the vehicle is because the surface might have contamination, might have tree sap, might have water spots, or who knows what else is living on the surface. So by using the OG clay bar and the clay luber, it's going to allow you to have a smooth to the touch feel, because if I come near this Porsche, you guys can hear that this Porsche does have a light layer of contamination. Now this light layer of contamination is going to allow your glaze, sealant, and wax to fail over time. So all you need to do is just get your OG clay bar. I will open up the packaging, and it's very sticky. I already have a small portion cut out of it, and I have my clay luber right here. Now, how I like to explain a clay bar, it's like gum. If you drop it, you pick it back up, you're gonna have some type of contamination, some type of rocks inside there, and you will not put it back in your mouth. Same exact concept on your car. You drop it, throw this piece away, get a new piece out of the box, and continue with your clay bar process. Now, all you need to do before doing anything is just knead out your clay bar into like a 3-width finger. Now, the reason why I like to do a 3-width finger is because it's going to allow me to have control over my entire clay bar. And like this, if it falls or anything comes in counter, I don't have a ginormous piece all over the place. And especially because you need to keep it highly lubricated, it's going to allow you to have control of your clay bar. So what you want to do is go to the surface of the vehicle that you'll be clay barring. And I like to be very generous with the lubricant. Now what the lubricant is going to allow me to do is going to allow the clay bar to glide efficiently across the surface of the vehicle without causing any clay marring or any damages to the surface of the paint. This surface of the clay bar is super slick and super sticky that's going to grab onto anything that is coming into contact. So you always want to keep it highly lubricated to allow your clay bar to work its magic, and it's very simple to clay the surface of the vehicle. Now here's a quick question for you guys. Does a clay bar remove scratches and swirls? I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer in the comment section down below. 3, 2, 1. The answer is no. Clay bar is only going to remove contamination away from the surface of the vehicle, and there is many different types of areas that you could actually clay, such as your headlights, such as your glass, your wheels, your metal. So like this, you can remove contamination away from those surfaces that you're trying to clean or decontaminate. Flip it over, and you guys can actually see that this big contamination got onto my clay bar. So now what you need to do is re-knead your clay bar to a fresh side and continue throughout the whole entire process. So if you guys look at this clay bar, it's freshly remolded. But before I do that, I'm just gonna put on my sprayer top just so I can remove the residue of the lubricant so I can inspect my work before I go over there. Inspect my towels for any tags. If it does have a tag, rip it off, put it off to the side. And like this, you don't have any tags running across the surface of your paint. Come back, buff it off. And just by claying the surface of the vehicle, I feel it already when wiping down the surface of this car. It's smooth as glass. The towel is not dragging, because whenever you do have high amounts of contamination and you're wiping, your towel is dragging, and over time, it's a little bit more difficult. It's more of a headache for you to even wipe down the surface of your car. So if you are that type of person that does have high amounts of contamination on the surface of your car, clay the surface of the vehicle. So like this, cleaning your car, washing your car, and wiping down the surface of your car is going to be much more easier. So now I will go to this side of this hood and follow the same exact procedure. I will spray, glide, and wipe. Spray, glide, and wipe. So spray, glide, and wipe. But one thing that I want to tell you guys is I'm actually working in linear motions, never in circular motions. The reason being is cars that have high amounts of contamination, it's almost like grit. If you go in circular motion and that contamination is heavy and you're not remolding the surface of your clay bar, over time you're just going to be installing scratches and swirls. So just anytime you wipe the surface of your car, you do any type of decontamination process, always wipe in linear motion. Same as when you're washing your car. Always scrub in linear motions. So like this, you could prevent scratches and swirls on your car. Especially on a dark color car, because a dark color car, you could see everything. But let me just finish this hood and I'll get back to you guys when it's time to do the fun part, which is applying a glaze, sealant, wax. Okay, so now that we got the wash and clay process out of the way, now let's inspect the vehicle. If I go to the surface of the vehicle, it's smooth as glass. That's how your paint's actually supposed to feel. Over time, since the pores of the paint are open, you get contamination, you get bird droppings, and over time you get all that industrial fallout living inside of there. So that's why we recommend cleaning the surface of the car. One thing I do want to mention to you guys is we're actually going to be using these products and we're actually going to be skipping the polishing section. Now this is for anybody that does not have access to a polisher or is not perfect with a polisher, but you want to deliver an eye candy look. Now whenever you're further away from this black car, it looks phenomenal, but then you get up close and personal, you have lights flashing on it and you start seeing imperfections. So that's when we're jumping into the next step, which is going to be applying a glaze. Now, the reason why you want to apply a glaze whenever you're not polishing the surface of your car is because a glaze is going to hide all imperfections that are sitting on the surface of your car, such as scratching and swirls, minor scratching and swirls though, nothing too deep. Like there's something that's running down this hood of this Porsche or rock chips. Unfortunately, this product is not going to fill that in. It's going to fill in micro scratch and swirls, so you give it that eye candy look. How do you actually apply a glaze? It's fairly simple. All you need to do is grab your bottle and you want to grab a microfiber applicator. Same exact thing, rip off the tag, put this off to the side. Now you'll grab your bottle and I'm going to put this applicator right here so you guys can see how I apply it. Before anything, just shake up the formula to mix in all the goods. After it's already mixed in, you want to go to your applicator and apply 1, 2 lines of products on your applicator. And now this application is going to cover half of the hood. Now, a lot of people always tend to do, what they always tend to do is they go to the surface of the vehicle and they want to have their car super hazy. And the realistic answer is a little bit goes a long way. You just want to be applying it back and forth on the surface of the vehicle. And if you do need more, feel free to apply more. But anything that comes off onto your towel is just all excess. So you want to prevent all that. So I'm just going to work it in side to side. And before I get into the middle part, I'm actually going to get my applicator and just cross hatch the formula. Now, the reason being is I want to be cross hatching the formula is because I'm actually going by hand and I want to have even application throughout the whole entire surface of the vehicle. I want to prevent high spots. So if you guys do see you guys have a little bit more product on some certain section, make sure to just go back and just cross hatch it like this. You have an even coverage. Now, if I was to actually clean the surface of these headlights, I could actually apply a glaze to it too. But in this occasion, we're just focusing on pure paint. So now I will go to this excess that I had over here, and I'll just work it in linear motion, and then I will work it in cross hatching as well. But as you guys can see, I am applying a very thin layer of Glossworkz Glaze on the surface of the vehicle. I'm not going with a heavy amount. If I go with a heavy amount, it might look super hazy. In your eyes, it might say it's working, but realistically, anything like I said, mentioned before, anything that comes off onto the towel whenever you buff it off, that's just pure excess. So now I'll go back to my glaze. I'll show you guys my applicator. It still has suspended product on there. I'll apply 2 more lines, and then I will cover the other half of this hood. Blotch, 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 and blotch, and blotch. And then I'll go to the edge, and I will just start working it in linear motions. Now, after I finish applying this to the surface of this hood, I'm actually going to let it sit for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and buff off the residue, and then after that, we'll be moving on to our next step. Now, if I was to be doing this whole entire vehicle right now, you guys could actually do this, and this is actually a pro tip for you guys. I will do this hood and work my way around the whole entire surface of the car, and actually whenever I get back to this hood, it's gonna be 15 minutes, and that's when you start buffing it off. So that's a pro tip for you guys. On the other hand, like a ceramic, if we were talking ceramics, you would spray it, apply it, and then buff it off, and then move on to the next panel. On this occasion, you could actually let it sit and just work around the whole entire vehicle and then come back. But now, I have small hands, I'm like a little T-Rex. I gotta come back and get this middle portion. Now that I applied it, let me get back to you guys within 15 minutes so you guys can actually see it haze up, and then I'll buff it off and I'll show you guys how fast and simple it is to apply a glaze. I'll see you guys in 15. So now that 15 minutes has passed, now it's just time to buff off the residue. I will go to the surface of the vehicle, and with little to no pressure, the product comes off. I mean, no elbow grease needed whatsoever. And immediately you start seeing that a high shine is unveiling on your paint. The reason being it's so easy to come off is because we actually decontaminated the surface of this paint using the clay bar, and the contamination, or there is no type of contamination sitting on the surface of the vehicle, so there's no dragging effect. So if you are witnessing or you are encountering dragging on the surface of your car, that means you just need to clay the surface of your car, or whenever you're drying your car and you tend to see that there's some type of drag, that just means you have contamination, and now it's time to clay bar the surface of your car. If you guys do want an in-depth video on why you should clay the surface of the car, drop it in the comments down below and we'll make sure we make that video happen for you guys. All right, so we just finished removing the Glossworkz Glaze away from the surface of the vehicle, and you guys can see it already has an amazing shine. But we want protection next, so that's why we're applying a sealant to the paint on top of the glaze, and that is going to be JetSeal. Now, the reason why you want to be applying a sealant to the surface of your paint is, one, you want to remove bird dropping from actually etching itself into the pores of the paint. You want to reduce water spots from actually penetrating the clear coat, and overall you still want to have some type of protection, so that's why you want to apply something like JetSeal. Now, the application process is going to be the same exact way as you just applied the glaze. Apply it onto an applicator, rub it on, let it sit for 15 minutes, come back and buff it off. So let me just speed this process by applying this on the surface of the vehicle using JetSeal. Okay, so we just finished removing the JetSeal away from the surface of the vehicle, and you guys can see the shine and protection is here. But we're actually missing one last step, and that's going to be the cherry on top, which is going to be applying a wax. Now, a wax, all it's designed to do is, one, to add a little bit of protection, like 3 months protection, but it's more of the higher shine delivery that we actually want. So this is going to deliver much higher shine than JetSeal and Glossworkz. So that's why I chose Butter Wet Wax. Now, Butter Wet Wax is very user-friendly. This product is going to clean, shine, and protect your paint on the surface of your vehicle. Now, this also cleans and cleanses your paint, and it has zero abrasives to it. It's all the cleaning power that the formula has. And the same exact application process you want to take with the wax is just smear it on in linear motions and go cross-hatching pattern. But on this one, it's going to be wax on, wax off. So let me just apply it throughout the whole entire surface of the vehicle, and then I'll get back to you guys just so I can show you guys the finished results. But one thing about this product is if you get like water spots, you get overspray, you have minor paint transfer, you could actually use Butter Wet Wax by itself just to remove that away from the surface of the vehicle. So like this, you know how to remove overspray or any paint transfer on the surface of the vehicle. You could also use it on jewelry as well, fun fact. But let me just finish applying this on the surface of this car so I can show you guys the finished results. And there you guys have it. You guys can see the amazing results that I achieved by applying a glaze, sealant, and wax to this Porsche. This Porsche, it was a little bit dull, had a little bit imperfections, but we went ahead and hit it using Glossworkz Glaze. Then we protected it using JetSeal, and finally, just to enhance more shine, we went with butter wet wax. So guys, if you guys would love to pick up any of these products that are in today's video, such as applicators, towels, products, you can find them in the links down below, or you can also drive down to your local detail garage. As always, I'm Henry, and we'll see you guys next time right here at Chemical Guys.